At the outset, I first welcome all the alumni members, alumni association, parents, professors, teaching faculty members, non-teaching members, and all the students who are in this BVB campus who are attending this today's morning session. I once again welcome you one and all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Alumni play a critical role in shaping a university's identity, reputation, and impact on the real world. Alumni are the university's brand ambassadors. Their positive feedback and recommendations is how we, as an institution, can grow worldwide and secure the future at the same time. B.V. Bhumireddy College has produced many illustrious alumni, whose contribution at national and international levels have been significant. One such alumni is Shri Lokesh Paik, who is an expert in digital and industrial IoT, partner at Bain & Company, Bengaluru, India. Sir has over 18 years of hands-on experience in consulting and implementation of value-based new-age technology solutions. Sir holds an MBA from La Trobe University, Australia, and a BE in automobile engineering from KLE Tech, India. Let us welcome Shri Lokesh Paik, sir, for the technical talk on the factories of the future, a $1 trillion opportunity for India. I would request Shri Vagesh Hiramat to present a bouquet and memento as a token of love to our speaker, Shri Lokesh Paik.
It's a very surreal moment to be here, to be honest. Little did I know when I graduated in 2001 that I'd be standing here at my university, presenting in front of my sir sitting here, my gurus who have shaped me to be here. And also it gives me an immense pleasure to be standing here, even for that. I dreamt of making it here. I remember we had a 50th year of celebration back in 25 years ago, and I saw a couple of industry gurus and the famous personalities coming and talking. That time I had small dream that I want to be there. And thank you so much, B.L. Desai sir and Shetty sir, for making that dream come true. And what I want to talk to you for next 15 minutes is little of a story where India as a country has moved from where it was and where it is now. If I go to I have my able friend there helping me to connect to the slides. If I go to a next slide, please. Let's go back to the history, right? This very photo was taken just in 1947, just prior to our independence, where there were manufacturing factories, not that they weren't, but how did it used to happen? And you have to look at the number there. This I found out when I was doing a research of what was a contribution of an Indian industry sector for an Indian global economy. This is a collective number of 29 manufacturing units which were listed and they were giving. So the number is 743 crores. 743 crores, close to 100 million in today's number, has started moving from there. That is when the electrification has come in. For the first time, Indian government, which were formed, decided that we will give little more liberty to the private companies. It's not held together as a public company. So that's where the era of electrification started. Tata Steel established its first ever steel plant in Jamshedpur, which is supposed to be the #1 in Asia Pacific. Go to the next slide, you will see the immense growth. From there it has gone. Where it was 100 million, manufacturing total has moved into what today is 418 billion. My friend, it's an astonishing story where the Indian manufacturing has started showing real reality that you don't have to be just a mechanical engineer or an industrial production engineer. You're actually an all stream of engineering contributing to the very fact of manufacturing. So you notice that there is a significant foot. It used to be in the earlier era of 260 to 300 billion kind of export, but that got pushed way in 2022 to it hit the 418 billion. What a number, right? It's kind of, if you look at financial year, it was 312 to now, it's close to 34% of a growth. All of us were wondering, COVID came in, pandemic hit, it was a dip, will it go down? Little did we know that it's going to actually move further. Go to the next slide when we see that the structural advantage is actually moving in figure. The number here to notice is what are those top sectors which are adding into these kind of growth. One being pharma. All of us know that we were perhaps the only country, or proud to take in that, telling that we came in a vaccine and all of us are sitting here without masks. And thanks to the push from Indian government and to the entrepreneurial spirit of those two companies who came up with vaccines. The other pharma companies realized the potential that, this is a very closed sector, lot of regulation, but if we do a systematic approach, we can actually push it further. That's the reason from going further, from 20 to this one, it's going to go get pushed into it. The second one is electrical and electronics. All of us who used to use the 3310 Nokia phone, and now it doesn't exist. We're all using the high-end smart mobile phone. Earlier, I remember 5 years ago, we used to struggle a lot to even send 1 MB data. Today morning, I was able to ship the entire 35 MB file in less than a second to another email ID. That's a push of Wi-Fi. Automotive, even though it's going to grow at a rapid speed, I'm sure the semiconductor issues will be sorted and it's going to go further. All this has made it, despite of going through a very, very bad peak pandemic. We're a large country. Very soon we'll be 1.5 billion. It's not easy to manage. Very, very thankful for all the people who worked hard to make it happen so that the structural advantage. But the story doesn't stop there. If I go to the next slide, you will notice that despite being the 6th largest economy, I know last week we pushed to the 5th one, UK came little, but it's keep happening. 5th and 6th largest, we contribute only 3.1% of the world GDP. But our export contribution is just 1.6%. That shows an opportunity what we have to catch up to the world. Look at in the US there. It caters to the 8.3% of the world's export. We were wondering, no, US only exports software. No, they export a lot of manufacturing exports. And that contributes to close to 24.6. The top 3 economies, Germany, US, and China, are already $1 trillion. And we were somewhere, as I mentioned, 400 and plus, so it's between 200 to 500. The Hong Kong, which is the tiniest one, South Korea, again tiniest one, Netherlands and Japan have already crossed past the 500 billion to hitting to trillion. That shows that is there an opportunity? A good news, my friends, is yes, there is an opportunity. You must be wondering, when are we going to hit from 400 plus billion to $1 trillion? Not so late. The next slide, please, if I can go to. We are extremely in good position to hit $1 trillion export. I'm talking about export, not even local consumption, by 2028. This has happened, big favorable megatrends, which I'm going to come very closely. Look at the chemicals, which is the largest part now, which is contributing more than 160. Currently, it's 160%. It's actually a $38 billion export, all set to grow to 121, 4 times in 3 years from now or 5 years from now. Next comes the electricals. Look at the number, 18.2 billion. All set to go to 137. That's like 6 times. All of us going to use more electronics. The electronics production going to happen more here. Apple has already set up a factory here, and that's going to come in. So these data points not going to make us a very, very interesting topic like how the next year will factor. But little did we know what is going to happen. Why is it push happening, right? That's the next slide I want to highlight. There are 6 factors. Most importantly, the supply chain diversification. American companies have started looking at India beyond software. They see that India is one among the top 4 countries in the world where they can actually relocate their supply chain. Semiconductor, which is extremely difficult to set up a plant. We're already seeing Vedanta coming up with a semiconductor plant. Tatas have shown expert interest in that. So is the Jindal team. And they're all coming with very hardcore semiconductor manufacturing. There's a very interesting book you call Chip War if you want to read, and that shows about how the semiconductor value chain, which get designed in US, get produced in Taiwan, get acquired and get recruited from the Japan is closely knitted, and India is going to make very soon that a mark there. Then the sectoral advantage. The pharma I was talking about, private equity firms who usually look at Indian companies or for technology companies are investing into the pharma companies, telling that, why do private equity firms invest? Then they see a huge growth coming up and they can encash as quickly, and that's what's happening here. Second, the PLI, right, the production linked incentive. Thanks to the government of India, that vision of IAS officers, I was talking to Mr. Amitabh Kant recently, the passionately who contributes to Indian growth, keeps telling us that, what, Lokesh, the best part about this is India at the right time, at the right place. We're all set to grow what it grows to be. It gives immense pleasure, one, being a student, that I have something to look forward to, two, being alumni of BVB, that I have further life ahead that I can contribute. Second is the capex expenditure. Earlier, what used to happen in your P&L sheet is like your capex is mentioned as a number, the utilization is to be less. Now you see that utilization has gone up. Hence, you see Bangalore to Hubli drive is just a 5 hours now, once you cross Tumkur, of course. But Bangalore to Tumkur is going to go better. But for us, it gives us like, I can, after this call, start driving and take a midnight flight to wherever I wish to go. And that's because the capex is being spent at the right appropriate. And what you see, yesterday Mr. Shettar was highlighting, all of us being a proud alumni here see that used to be one building, but there's hardly any space left out. Why is that? A utilization of capex for a betterment, so the scale in a vision. And also there's a huge investment trust. When you invest, you look at the better opportunity, the PE firms are doing it. So these are the 6 trends, if I want to highlight: the supply chain diversification, sectoral advantage for India, government initiatives, merger and acquisition, lot of influx of acquiring company of India, which are manufacturing-led, not just a tech-led, and use of capex. This leads for us to going deeper into that and showing that the next slide could be as a $1 billion export possible. If I go to next slide, please. Next one. There's a technical glitch. Next slide. Yeah. So the sectoral representative that I was talking about. Yeah, thank you very much. So as I mentioned, please focus on 2 things here. One, the chemical, which is 10 to 130 billion, is going to go at a CAGR of 19 to 23%. And that's a huge, right? All of us who are into this one can sense it. Electrical and electronics, it's set to grow 120, and that's because supply chain diversification, large setup ecosystem. All of us, I remember when I was graduating from automobile, little did I know that I'll make it here, but I wanted to get into Toyota with 10,000 rupees salary as a start one. Shashi Sangnurmat, who is the general manager at Toyota, present here, gave me a lot of tips to make it, and then I know what Toyota factory is made of now. And the textile and apparel, which has been a strongest strength of India, continues to grow. All these 6 sectors together will add $1 trillion. I'm sure in 2028 we can relook at the numbers, it would have already crossed past. Next slide, if I go a little deeper into of Keen's insight, right? All of these 6 factors are adding into a next slide, so that the chemicals and the pharma has going to take a majority of this, and the industrial machine is going to come in to the possibility. Now, we would be wondering what it makes. One is we know that there's a huge possibility to grow, and what it makes to make it happen. That's where I want to spend some time on factories of future. That's a dream, what all the companies are looking at, which an influx of a domain knowledge as a manufacturing and a digital coming in together. If I go to next slide, please. Next after. Yeah, thank you very much. So earlier the factories used to be electrical connected machines, CNC machines, and there's a value stream coming in. Now the influx of technology has made it extremely possible. What do you need as a factory? If I'm a factory person, I want my productivity to be at the high. I want all the machines which I have invested heavily capex to run 24/7 at a 3 shift at 100% utilization possible. I want to produce more in possible availability. And that's where it's coming in. The productivity, efficiency, and flexibility is going to change into the changing demand of customer demand and coming in. Next is element of technology. The artificial intelligence, which is a huge one. I spent a Friday at Deshpande's startup going there and working together. And I walked in and I connected and started looking around. It feels so good. I've decided that I'm going to spend at least 15 days of a year working out of Hubli, spending time with those students to add in my value. Because there is a shaping happening with the new technologies. If you're a computer science engineer, whatever coding you do is going to get into automobile cars. Whatever coding you're going to do, get into a produced parts. And hence, these things, the new technologies, going to come together. Most importantly, all of us need to be in circular economy. Sustainability becomes extremely important. You must have seen small is beautiful, but when you grow from 100 million to a billion plus, there is a lot of wastage going to happen. Are we doing it at the cost of environmental? Mr. Wangchu was supposed to come today, he couldn't come, but he's sitting there at Ladakh trying to influence people that on a global warming, trying to say that please do not increase the pollution input. As a leader, it's our duty to take that voice and put that back into our manufacturing process to reduce the waste and not release so much to the environmental. And that's the most important. At the same time, the last part is, and an organization should evolve itself, it should start learn and get into a new terminology possible. Mr. Shetty was highlighting how his vision of BVB turning into a global campus under the umbrella of KLE Tech is phenomenally impressive. And that's where you cannot stay what you are. You need to take to a next level and be into agile manufacturing. Next slide, if I could, it's a simple pictorial representation of any factories you take, what goes from a complete value stream, right? You design a product, you produce a product, you deliver a product. And that is now, everything is digitized. Possibly of your R&D, an engineer sitting in Bosch captive center, designing a ECU, does it on a software, get it simulated, and there comes an embedded engineer and a mechanical engineer working in close collaboration. Then it comes to a data scientist who is actually predicting a possible forecasting coming in with all the possible inputs coming from the market and telling that this is what we need to produce to come to a next season of, say, Deepavali season coming in or Yugadi season coming in. That goes into a factory. There, the industrial production person is looking at the data on his iPad, telling that this is the forecast limit, let me change my production output so that it matches with the forecast requirement. That input goes to a logistics person who's sitting there with an iPad again, looking at what is possible coming in, what's the customer demand, and connect back. All of this, right, the source, make, and deliver at the back of planning is completely digitized. And that makes manufacturing companies utilizing digital technologies to make it. If I go to the next slide, that shows about heavy influence of analytics. As a student, if I were a student now, even if I'm doing in mechanical or automobile, I'll not limit myself to be only doing what is core. I'll start expanding myself. One, I will understand ChatGPT very well. I'm sure all the students would be loving the ChatGPT where you're using your essays to be published. But I'm also going to look at that, what immense input that it can give me to add value. I'll start learning coding. I'll start learning design software. I'll start understanding how it adds value to that. That's an analytic and simulation base. I'll also look at the sensors possibility, right? India can produce a lot of environmental sensor. Let me put it in IoT gateway and start getting a data and make around it. People do crazy about that. Then I want to learn the basics of AI and ML. When I get into get out of a university at a final year, get into a company, I'm sure you will be impressed to see that how companies are programming. But the people who are out there, like me, who are recruiting, would love to see a student coming with all of these inputs. Trust me, I'm going to hire on the same day and offer him whatever it takes to get that person. Because the inquisitiveness, understanding how it works is most important. The last slide, if I can go and just summarize what I meant to say, is that this is possible to make it happen. Number one, India is the place to be in. Even I went ahead and did my MBA in Australia. I came back. My dad wasn't happy with it. He said that, why are you coming back to India? Why can't you spend some more time in Australia, close your loan and come back? But I said, no, I want to make my career here. Started with automotive, IFB Automotive, moved into a Bosch, spent a very good time there, learned a lot, and been always associated with BVB. Now I'm a consulting firm. I see the Indian conglomerates, whoever it is, the big conglomerates to smaller conglomerates, all are looking at manufacturing, digital, coming together. They need a right people to come on board, whether it's a student or a company, to add value. Second, when you invest, please look at your future trends. Don't stop here today. Understand what is available. Say that, let me get an awareness of it. I'm not talking about being a master. Let me get an awareness of it and then start learning by itself. Even if I'm 43 now, learning doesn't stop. We have to keep learning because survival is the fittest. We need to survive. I'm sure all of you guys are going to come here much earlier than me on this stage and start talking about it. Most importantly, your choreography is most important. You as an individual, whether you're a student or an alumni working in some company, as an entrepreneur, as an individual entrepreneur, like I'm investing in that company, I'm investing my benefit, what can I do further? So in summary, say that it's the best place to be, with added advantage being in India, but most importantly, it's such a great pleasure being in BVB and continue to hold that close to my chest. Thank you so much for your patience. Happy to answer if you have a question. Highly appreciate to give me please. Thank you.
If there are any questions, sir will take it up. If there are any questions, sir will take it up.
Thank you, Tim, for this great talk. I just wanted to know, this delays due to cyber security, IT/OT integration is going to impact this, or it's being taken care? Because we from ISC are focusing a lot on 62433 training and making a lot of experts available for this.
Yeah, so you answered itself in your question. The experts are available. It's a willingness of companies to take their expertise and join together. That's why I firmly believe that academia and industry can further develop their leadership and take it up. I work very closely with ISC. While back in Bosch, we have set up a cyber physical system investment there. And I think at this moment, earlier 5 years ago, this topic used to be close of buzzword. Now it's a reality. Companies are willing to come 2 steps further if academics are coming to further and they can mingle together and make it. I do not see that this will have impact and pull down the 1 trillion. No, I'm a firm believer that it may not even happen in 28, might happen in 26, 27, because there's a convergence of skills and the interests coming together.
No, this I am from mechanical branch. This is artificial intelligence technology is going to come. How it is going to increase the labor force?
Sure.
Because it's going to affect we are 1.4 billion people. How is going to help us to create otherwise, see, it is going to be havoc for the lower category of the works.
Yeah, so very interesting.
Everyone is thinking of making a complete automation. What about the lower level? Who are going to get that? Everyone cannot operate in artificial intelligence. So what is your view on that actually?
Absolutely. Very interesting and thoughtful question, sir. As you rightly said, one thing is I'm going to automate a lot and reduce the labors. Can I become like light off factory, as you call in Japan, where you don't see any people, it's just machine working. India being a huge human resources, 1.5 billion, there are 2 challenges and the possibility here. When I ask for companies, when I work with CXOs, they say that it's extremely difficult to get labor. I went into a down south city and we were doing a rubber rebuild there, and the CEO told me that, Lokesh, it's so difficult to get a labor because they're not coming to work in a manufacturing environment. They're going and working in a mall and ready to sweep at that certain page. So one is to encourage them coming in. That's one. Second is the skills level have changed. Working in that kind of, if you enable people with the digital technologies, and it has to work in hand, you cannot keep human out of it. You keep a human in center, work everything around it, telling that I'm going to enable you with the digital technologies. Even if you're a mechanical engineer, I'm going to make you digitally enhanced skilled worker. Then I would be happy to do that, and I come back to the manufacturing and do that. This I've seen again in the comment. One, we're developing a couple of blueprints for a new age greenfield factories. trust me, there's no dip of a human resources there. It's only increasing because the input has increased, the demand has increased. So India at this moment has good resources, but the skilled resources is most important. You need to skill them. Even if I'm a mechanical engineer, I'll not lose my job, but it's on me also to upgrade and go to offer myself with the digital technologies possible. And with $1 trillion, it's going to double that. Exports require not just a digital, it requires the core knowledge of mechanics. So mechanical, a blue collar is more happiness now to hold that with a pride now.
Hi Lokesh, so thank you for fantastic presentation. So I just want to know what kind of curriculum or organizations or education institutes have to reform to meet these kind of challenges in future, to meet this digital challenges in the future.
Sure. So, thank you, Shashi-san. The organization needs to understand that now the way is to work on agile and a future in place. You need to look at your core human resources and put everything possible to upskill them. That's one. Second is, at the same time, look at the future demand coming in. When you are designing a new plant, start designing with connectivity possible and look at the solutions which have a scale implementation possible. Don't do a silent pilot and say that I've achieved so much. Look at the pilots with the possibility of, can I scale it at a different factory or a different line with all together to get a better efficiency. Only two things. One, respectively respect your human resources, upskill them, at the same time continue to invest on new technologies. These are the two possibilities that I see. And good thing that all the CXOs whom I speak to on daily basis, all of them are willing to do that. And they understand that digital is a necessity to survive and to upgrade. So.
Extension of that question. It is increasingly becoming difficult for us to understand mechanical engineering related branches. How much of that branch of engineering need to be digital now? I mean, what is that we can leave out? What is that we need to bring? From last 3-4 years, a big dilemma is running. What is your take on this?
It's a very, very insightful question as you asked. Two things, right? One, I'll give an answer and I'll also conclude it with my remarks. 100%. Mechanical is, I firmly believe, having come from automobile, you can upgrade yourself with digital at a very easy pace. It's very easy for us to understand because we have seen the factory at work and we get excited that I'm doing it with a 10% effort. Can I get that done at a 1% effort using digital? So that immense possibility exists. So it's 100%. Second, I have an offer. If you allow me to do that, I'd like to be the possible ambassador to train your kids, train the next set of students to be available for digital era which is going to come in. I'll be happy to spend whatever limited capacity you allow me to do that. Happy to come here and do that, sir.
Just share with you, at the 75 years of BVB celebrations, we are establishing 7 star labs, science and technology, advanced research labs. Okay, 1 in material science, 1 in ADAS, 1 in electrical vehicle, and 1 in industry 4.0. Okay, next 2 years, I'll be putting 5 crores into this particular lab.
Yeah.
Okay, we need you.
Sir, it's on me. It's on me that I'll be the one who's going to design the blueprint and we'll see it happen. I do have many of the alumni, like Shashi-san is here from Toyota. We will create a small core team who's going to work under your direction and we'll see it as a reality. It's our promise. Thank you so much. Thanks for your patience. Highly appreciate that. There's one more last question. I know next team is waiting, but happy to answer.
It's not a question. It's again a privilege to tell you that under VC, we have also started a series, many of the startups here in many of the fields, and I would request you to be part of this journey. We are about 60 startups here, and some of them are showcasing many of the people or many of these startups probably would be willing to take your help, and I'm sure being alumni provide much of the business support side and mentoring side to them. Thank you very much.
It'll be my honor to do that, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for walking us to the factories of future. The secret of getting ahead is getting started. Likewise, it is always not about the ideas, but rather it is about making ideas happen. Now, let us hear more about a pinch of ideas from different speakers of today's panel discussion on the topic B2B opportunity in USA for Indian entrepreneurs. I request my team members to introduce all the panel members. Good morning, everyone. It's an absolute privilege to introduce our venerated moderator for today, Shri Umesh Vaidyamat, a seasoned entrepreneur with over 30 years of experience in building and scaling technology-driven businesses. After graduating from BVB, College of Engineering and Technology in 1989, he went on to found Medicodio, an AI-powered medical coding SaaS product and services company, and Zoom Inc., the leading immigration case management software company. In 2007, he was awarded the Outstanding 50 Asian Americans in Business Award, recognizing his contributions to the industry. Sir is a member of the Forbes Technology Council, an advisory board member for Mitratech, and a prolific contributor to Forbes and Silicon India. With a wealth of knowledge and experience, Shri Umesh Sir is a leader in the tech industry, and his recent achievements are a proof to his success. With this brief introduction, let us welcome Sir on the stage with a big round of applause. I request Purohit V.S. Sir to present Shri Umesh Vaidyamat Sir with a bouquet and memento. Good morning, everyone. It's an immense pleasure for me to introduce our today's panel member, Shri Shashidhar Jakli. Sir is a serial entrepreneur with over 20 plus years in global IT industry, promoter and mentor at startup incubation centers, Let's Start and Smart Co-work, early adapter of healthcare blockchain, business development, M&A, team building, customer acquisition and retention, data analytics domain expert, and have been co-founder with Axiom Health Internet Systems. Sir has BE in Electronics and Communications from BVB CET, EGMP from IIM Bangalore. Shri Jakli is founder and CEO of Jakli Impactive Technologies Incorporation, Pittsburgh, US, focused on incubation and commercialization of high-impact technology solutions for global clientele. He is founder of Smart Co-work, Bengaluru, which is an incubation and co-working platform for startups. With this brief introduction, let's welcome Shri Shashidhar Jakli on dais. A big round of applause. Now I request Vagesh Hirevat to present flower and memento to Shri Shashidhar Jakli. It's an honor to introduce Sunil Desai Sir. Sunil Desai Sir is a seasoned, successful and visionary business leader with an outstanding record of formulating and executing strategy in multiple regional or global roles. He has a diverse experience of building new income streams, profit and loss management, and large-scale business transformations. Rich exposure across enterprise clients, vendors, geographies, and cultural, gaining substantial insights into clients and industries. He built the Global Customer Success Organization ground up and led a team of 130 staff, 41 countries to drive a double-digit growth in annuity services sales across Asia Pacific region. As a Chief Operational Officer, he exceeded growth targets for countries to become the most profitable region globally. His efforts across Asia Pacific region cost to serve year on year, improved efficiencies through offshoring, automation, continuous service improvements, and RPA. With this introduction, let's welcome Shri Sunil Desai on the dais. And now I request Shri Sangesh Desai to present a bouquet and memento to Sunil Desai, sir. Our next illustrious panel member for today is Shri Shrisha Ramdas. Sir is the founder of Stealth and was a co-founder, senior vice president and general manager at Strike Deck. He is an entrepreneurial executive with a track record of launching and growing products in competitive markets. His general management expertise is in product development, growth hacking and go-to-market strategy and execution. Sir is currently incubating a startup called Stealth. Previously, Sir was senior vice president and general manager in Medallia, CEO of Strike Deck, a leader in customer success automation, vice president of corporate development and partnerships at KLE Cloud. Sir also has a couple of patents to his name. Sir will be joining us today through an online platform. Thank you. It gives me a pleasure to introduce Lingraj Patil, sir. Lingraj Patil, sir, is the Vice President of Marketing at Armor Code INC, San Francisco, USA. He is a growth-focused Chief Marketing Officer providing marketing services to the unicorns of tomorrow. While he specializes in offering virtual CMO services to B2B startups with a go-to-market strategy. His marketing experience lies in seed, series of A upon B, unicorn, Fortune 500 companies. He has a track record of successfully executing global cross-functional projects. His areas is a focus on startups, AI, security, SaaS, automation, RPA, B2B and B2C marketing, business case and ROI, TCO models. Due to unavoidable circumstances, Sir could not join as a person, but he has joined us through the online session. With this, let us open the forum for the panel discussion. Thank you. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Today, I would like to ask all of you a question. How many of you are already entrepreneurs from BVB? There's quite a lot of people. How many of you want to be entrepreneurs? That's very impressive. Thank you. One of the questions that get asked, whenever I visit Bangalore or even whenever I meet some of my friends in the United States, everyone, especially the folks who are in software industry, they want to build a product and they want to bring it to the market. The question is, how do I do it? There isn't $1 million or maybe $1 trillion or $1 billion question. It's for everyone. That's exactly what I went through myself and a couple of decades ago. So today, when we're asked to create a panel for a discussion for the alumni, we're looking at what is the best topic to pick. Is good? So we decided, based on the interaction with my fellow alumni and entrepreneurs and senior executives from the one who are on the stage here, Sunil Desai and Shashidhar Jakli, as well as my good friend Shrisha Ramdas and Lingraj Patil from US. So we agreed the best way to basically kick off this one is to help entrepreneurs who wants to start their operations in the US. So today we have several questions that we have basically compiled based on our interaction with fellow entrepreneurs. So we're going to, before we get started, I would like to have an introduction from each of the panel members. I think it's best to have them speak really quick about right from their graduation into the college, then their bit of success story and how far they have reached today. And I would like to request first Ramesh Jakli, please go ahead. Shashidhar Jakli.
What do you say?
I would like you to introduce yourself with a success story of yours starting right from a college to till date. Really quickly in 2 minutes.
All right. First of all, it is such a nice feeling to come back to my campus. I just came across the meaning of the word alma mater. I hope I am pronouncing it right. Alma mater means nourishing mother. So that's it. BVB for me is a nourishing mother. So wherever I have been past 30 years after my engineering, BVB is always there at the back of my whatever I do. My story is all about struggle, perseverance, repeated attempts, and then finding some success. If you can encapsulate in these words, that's where my story is encapsulated into. And I look at entrepreneurship not as some kind of a 100-meter race. I consider entrepreneurship as a spiritual journey where there is something to learn every day, every moment. So I'm not saying I have been successful. Once you do that, then your struggle will stop. So rather, I would consider that as a continuous journey, and I'm finding more and more reasons to get interested in the startup community, find some valuable lessons, and take those startups to the next level. Thank you, Umesh.
Thanks, Shashidhar. Next, Sunil Desai, sir.
Yeah, hi. I think I would probably echo what Shashi said in terms of falling back. I passed out in 85, so I was at 81 to 85. So coming back to BVB is always a joy, but I have one more reason, and that is the gentleman sitting right up there, Professor B.L. Desai. He's not just a good, I can't explain what the relationship is, but I come back as much for BVB as much as I come back to meet sir. So it's always a pleasure to be here. Among all these panels, we were having a conversation, and I said, I'm the only salary compared to all the great serial entrepreneurs, businessmen. I think the one thing I have in common with these people is even when I was working in a company and I was always in a corporate job, I didn't consider it as a job. I didn't consider it as a salary. I considered that I was running my own business. And whatever I could achieve, and again, as he said, you can never say you're successful. Whatever I achieved, purely because of that feeling of it's not a job. It's your own business, and that is how I had great experiences running large setups, large teams, and within my corporate role, I started. In fact, I had a kind of startup experience. I had 5 or 6 functions, businesses, geographies which were startup, and that gave me a great experience. Always happy to come back to BVB, contribute, and to help out. I used to sit there in the 80s, and I'm more than happy to contribute whatever I can to help you guys out and to further the cause of BVB and Professor B.L. Desai.
Thank you, Dr. Sunil Desai. Now I'd like to request Krishna Ramdas, introduce yourself briefly, right from which year you graduated and to your journey to date. Can you ask Shrisha to come online? Linga, if you could speak, you can go ahead. It's always a challenge to get people online. Though I've been working remotely for last 2 years. Krisha, go ahead with your introduction.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, you can hear me. Yeah. How about Deepa? Can you hear me? Can the audience hear me? Yeah. All right. So, what's the question? Do I need to introduce myself? Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Just introduce yourself. I think Moulimani madam, you should basically repeat the question if you are online with them, because I don't think they can hear me. Lingaraj, go ahead and introduce yourself. We need to get them to introduce themselves.
Yes. So, this is a question for me. I guess I can speak now, right? Hello, everybody. This is Lingaraj Patil here. I'm from the 1995 EMC batch. I really appreciate this opportunity to be with you today, and I have very fond memories of my time at the BVB college, from spending time in the canteen to spending time on the campus itself. Very lucky to be here speaking to you. So I see there's a question that is asked, how do I get started? So I will share it from my perspective, which is a little bit about myself before I get started, so you know where I'm coming from. For me, I am a VP of marketing at Series A, B2B SaaS application security startup called Armor Code. And we provide software for enterprises to basically ship their software securely and ship it fast. And in terms of my experience of where do I get started, it's really shaped by the experience that I have had over a period of time. And my experience, I started out as I got out of engineering college. I started as a software engineer, and as I was developing code for various companies, one thing that really stood out and shaped my perspective about business was an experience where I was part of a project with 18 people for 18 months, and I was part of another project which was for 3 months for with about 3 people. And in the end, when the profit loss analysis was done for both, I really found it astounding that the team of 3 people that I was part of, that we did the project for 3 months, actually had earned more money, and it was more profitable. And that really got me thinking, why is that one which I had spent less time on had spent more money and more profits? And it really came down to my understanding that that particular solution that we had provided met the customer need. It solved a problem that the customer had. And even though we are very excited about the bigger project that we were part of, it really was an engineer's dream that we were living, but it didn't really quite solve the problem that they had. So the way to get started, I would say, is understanding the customer's problem really, really well. And in Armor Code, the way we have done that is by building a community. Even before we built a product, even as we are building a product, we built a community of our prospective customers and have them come together and have a debate on the problem, talk about the concerns that they had, talk about the best practices that they had, and even we had them write or actually co-author a book on the subject. So that's where I would say we should get started, that one should have a very, very clear understanding of the problem that's been solved. Even though you started the hypothesis of what the problem is, it's very important that I felt that you should talk to the prospective customers again and again to clearly define the problem, and that has made all the difference in terms of the success that came with the product development eventually.
Thanks, Raj.
And that's my perspective. Is it Shrisha next?
Yeah, Shrisha next.
Yeah, so let me go ahead with the same question. How do I get started? So just like Raj before, let me do a quick introduction. 94, computer science, and my background is I've done 3 startups. Started with Yodlee, which went public and then was acquired by InvestNet. Then did a company, Lead Formics, that got acquired by SAP, carried us. And then Strike Deck, that got acquired by Medallia, we went public. Then I've been involved with a lot of startups as an investor and advisor, about 56 of them, including Workato, Rocket Lane, and some others. So how do I get started? I'll share this, having come from a middle class family background where you're always taught to be watchful of the first step that you take. Risk taking was not a virtue that I had. But once I came to the Silicon Valley, California, that's where the initial feeling was that somebody can think about an idea and I can contribute to that idea. I can work hard on that idea. And slowly, with more and more exposure, started thinking that, hey, I can contribute bits and pieces to the idea. And then it transformed into, I can come up with an idea myself. So it's all about getting the confidence that we can shape an idea. We can take the idea and then run with it and create something. That confidence is what can get you started. And the best way to start with a problem that you have faced and you have felt the pain with that problem. Because if you have felt the pain, then you will have the passion to solve that problem. So that's how you get started. If you do not have a pain, if you have not been exposed to a pain point, then the other way to start is look at different industries and look at the gaps that exist. And once you find the gap, validate that gap, as Lingard said, by talking to the customers, validating it, and that's just enough to get you guys started.
Thanks, Risha. Shishir, would you like to answer the same one?
Yeah. Will we go to the next question?
Yeah. So, how do I get started? There's an interesting aspects to look at this question for
Lingard,
entrepreneurs.
Started? Do I need an office?
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's the question for me. I know there are panelists on site also, right? So is it our turn to speak or is it their turn to speak? Preeti, can you please clarify?
I think someone has to repeat what we talk here to them on the Shishir, go ahead.
Yeah. So you all must have read in our history books about the one incident which changed Mahatma Gandhiji's life. He was in South Africa traveling by train, and then he was thrown out of the train in the middle of the night. And that is where...
I wanted to know, is it our turn to speak? I just didn't want to speak out of turn because I know there are panelists and speakers in person.
So for entrepreneurs,
is it our turn to speak?
I have this take that most of us will be in comfort zone, we'll be happy with our jobs, and we need an incident to happen that kicks us out of that comfort zone. And that's when you get started. This is another perspective I'm bringing. Thank you.
Thank you. Sonali could.
The perspective I'll give to students especially is, and I'm talking by experience, when I was a student, I was very focused on the syllabus, getting good marks, and then getting a good job. I think if I look back and if I'm back in your seat, you need to understand macroeconomic and geopolitical scenario in the world. And the reason I'm saying that, and it's at a very macro level, the reason I'm saying that is that will help you look at what are the trends, that will help you look at out of the syllabus, look at what's happening in the world. And then as one of the panelists said, that will help you look at what problem am I solving for the world. What problem I'm solving. But to get to those kind of problems, you need to be aware of things outside your syllabus, outside your academics, and look at what is happening in the world, what are the trends, what are social trends, what is happening, and then you will come across, as you are observing things, you will come across that these are common problems which people are facing. Once you find a problem which you are solving, and then you follow what the other panelists have said, is how you get started. Besides what Sashi said was, you need a compelling event to get you out of your comfort zone.
Thank you. Thanks, Sunil. That was very insightful. The most important thing is understanding, as you were saying, the problem and understand how the systems works and how the market works. That is very critical for to get started any business or any product initiative. So the next question that gets asked in many times is, do I need an office in the US or a presence in the US to grow my market, my product, or maybe grow my business? So Ramesh, sorry, Shashidhar, sorry, you can go ahead.
Yeah, this is a bare minimum thing one has to have in case you want to succeed in the US market. You need a presence in US. But that is just, as I said, the bare minimum stuff. You need a lot more things than that. You need a good understanding of that problem you're going to solve, the market you're going to address, the opportunity size, the kind of challenges you'll face in US are not necessarily, just straightforward financial problems or market problem. There could be other problems also, as simple as finding a good attorney to help you negotiate through the corporate laws and negotiate through documentation. So all those things are also very important. The best thing to get yourself started in the US market is find a good partner for yourself. Someone who is already there in US doing some of the work, what you intend to do. Then you partner with him, and then he will help you find the customers, serve the customers. He will become the main point of contact. So that is the best way to enter US market. Otherwise, if you have to set up everything on your own, and then if you want to build a local business there, it's going to take a lot of energy and a lot of money. I would prefer suggesting my fellow entrepreneurs to find a good partner in the United States, and that is something which I specialize in. So one of the major focus area for me is connecting the startups here in India to the opportunities in US through partners. So I can find partners for my fellow entrepreneurs. Thank you.
Sunil could go and give a shot at it.
Well, I don't live in the US, and I'll probably answer the question more for how do I go abroad. I live in Singapore. And my answer is probably a little bit similar to what Sashi just mentioned, which is depends on what problem you're solving, where is the total addressable market, what stage are you in your startup? Are you still in pilot, or you completed the pilot? Are you now into what kind of funding you have? Because and correct me if I'm wrong, Sashi, but to have a setup in the US, the very fact that the first person who goes over there is on a dollar denominated salary, depending on if you're in seed round and stuff, it's expensive. So you probably want it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I've been associated with a few startups who are struggling. They moved, one of the co-founders moved to the US, and it's a chicken and egg. So it depends on the problem you're solving. It depends on the stage of funding you are in, and it depends on if you have a big TAM, or total addressable market, in the geography in which you want to go. So and then there are people like partners for sure, and there are people like Sashi. I was talking to Sashi earlier, and just for those probably people who don't know, he's probably been mentoring and nurturing more than 100 startups to come from India into US. So he's probably your, how do you want to enter in the US market? Just ensure that you have Sashi's contact.
Thank you. Can you correct the panelist from the US? For the next question.
So Srisha, do you want to take the question about, yeah.
You ready?
Yes.
So,
I wanted to
having an office in North America definitely is helpful for business, there is no doubt about that. But at what stage you need to have an office, you will have to look at your business. And I'll give you a few examples where I've seen people scale their business even sitting in India. The two biggest examples are Zoho and Freshworks, who actually started selling from India and then selling from India to Europe and North America, and scaled, and only after certain
Lingaraj, would you like to answer the next question? Who seems to have a technical difficulties? Let's move on to the next question. Next question. This is last, right? Okay. I think we'll just continue with just the three of us. Can you ask them to play the next one? Not this one, next one. I think we'll just ignore this one. So my next question to the panelist here is, unfortunately, we're having technical issues with connecting to the US panelists. So we'll continue with the panelists here on the ground. And My next question to Sri Jakle is, how can BVB Alumni Association help me in the US?
I can hear you.
For my startup.
So actually you froze
Shri
for
Shah.
me when you're talking about Freshworks and so.
How can alumni help us?
I can talk about, yeah, so I was talking about how do when do you decide when to set up an office in US? And so that should depend on the revenue milestone. I was giving example of Zoho and Freshworks, and that same applies to about, if you have few customers in North America, how do you grow your customer base further? So Zoho and Freshworks, they started doing a lot of marketing campaigns, outbound marketing campaigns. And it's all about having a go-to-market motion and a sales motion. And so go-to-market motion is basically you figure out how do you reach to prospects in North America or Europe with your email campaigns, with your webinars, with your content. And then sales motion is how can you set up your cold calling machinery from India where you can go and talk to prospects. And this is where I'll give you an example of WhatFix, which is a venture-backed company that started in Bangalore and now they are headquartered in US. And so I remember the founders and the management folks talking about how they initially thought they can only sell up to $5,000 deal value. And then when they pushed it further, it went to $10,000 deal value. And then they were able to sell 50,000 deal value. And they were able to push till 100,000 six figures deal value before they set up a proper office in US and set up the entire cold calling machinery that goes with it to reach out to the prospects. So best way to grow your customer base is basically doing all the go-to-market motion, marketing campaigns, and then having the sales team to go after the customers.
I think you could go ahead. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. So, this is a very nice stage to
But I
be
think
in.
that's the same way as Armor Code as well, right? You set up, you continue to scale your sales team as well.
Correct, yeah, so that's what we did as well. So for us, our engineering team, for the most part, is based out of India, and our sales team is based out of US. So I think maybe the model that you talked about might be appropriate for a lot of companies that are headquartered from headquartered in India itself. We were headquartered in US, so we developed a go-to-market in US. But for India companies which are based in India, I think the models that you mentioned are very appropriate. And even for us, even though we are based in US, our sales and marketing is all done remotely. So we barely go meet the customer in person, the prospects in person. So since we are doing it remotely, this might as well be done out of India. And I know in addition to Zoho and Freshworks, there's another company called Kissflow, which also has a same model of selling based out of India, and they are seeing a lot of success as well.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I have one slightly more aggressive perception about this. This is a very good stage of your company to be in. You already have some customers in North America and you want to grow it. So there are two ways you can do that, because this is an inflection point. One is in an inorganic manner, in an organic manner you can take the business, build it in a traditional manner, or you can do a good valuation of your company at that stage and raise good enough amount, good enough funding, and then look at possible acquisition of companies in that space. So that will give you a kind of a quantum leap for your business to get into the next stage. So this is inorganic way you can do that. The organic manner, you can always build it in a traditional brick and mortar methodology. Thank you.
Good.
Sunil, you could go ahead with the same.
I probably what my US colleagues and entrepreneurs have said, I totally agree with that. But I have a little different take on the question. Is yes, you have a few customers. How deep is your penetration within customers? If I give an example, you have Microsoft, you use Microsoft Office. Can I sell more than Microsoft has a suite of products? So what percentage of the population is only using Microsoft Office versus Power BI versus Microsoft Projects, etc. And that is where the concept, and that was also my last role. It's a function called customer success. I'm sure you've heard of customer success, and which is to ensure that you get your client more and more hooked to your product. Ensure that the adoption of the product is very high, and then move them to adjacent products using adjacent products. So your average revenue per user increases, your penetration within the company goes up from 500 people to 1,000 people, which gives you that kind of scale. Once you get these kind of marquee clients to adapt more and more and adopt more and more of your product, I think they will get more clients besides what the other panelists.
Thank you, Sunil. I would like to see the audience this time before we talk about other questions on our side. Does anyone have any questions for panelists?
Sir, we need.
Hello.
Yeah, one basic question, to go anywhere, as well as US is critical. The pricing of the product is a lot. So we in India don't understand a lot about it because of dynamics. So this could be a good for many people. Thank you.
Sure. You want to?
Actually, I was for someone to ask this question. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. It's a very important point. Pricing of your product. I have a very simple engineering answer to this question. Recently, I picked up formula when I was doing my executive management in IIM Bangalore. So there is a very famous formula given by IIM. V is equal to B minus C, where V stands for value, P stands for benefit, C stands for cost. So if you can demystify through this formula, you arrive at pricing. Because the pricing has to eventually deliver the value. Because pricing finally means cost. And if your benefit is better than your price, then you have value delivered. Coming to the actual challenge in the US market, though it looks very promising and very enticing that in US you get great price for your products, but then you also face a lot more competition in US. So your pricing has to be, slightly more scientific, which takes into consideration your product features, the market you're addressing, as well as, of course, your operating costs. So I'll give one live example for that matter. I'm currently taking one startup from Bangalore. They have developed something called rehab robot. it's an exoskeleton robot, which helps the rehabilitation of paralyzed patients, the patients who are basically accident victims or who have suffered medical issues, and they have to be rehabilitated. And this product is priced in India for about 1.5 crores. But then when I took this product to the US, and then I said, this is our price in India, they were shocked. Because a competitive product of that quality, that features in US, was about $500,000. So you have to be very careful with pricing in the US. Thank you.
Thank you. Sunil, would you go ahead and answer the same question?
No, I think I will just echo what Sashi said. It's absolutely value-based pricing, and if you are creating enough value for the client, the mistake which a lot of people make it, they look at their cost, and if their cost is 10 rupees, they're saying there is a mental barrier which says if the cost is 10, I can't charge more than 50. And I would just say and I have fought a lot with that mindset, especially when it comes to intellectual property or consulting services, etc., where your cost is X, but it's not the cost plus model. It is the value you create for the client. No matter, it may cost you 10 rupees and you can charge 1,000 if you are creating the right value for the client. That's all I'd like to add.
Absolutely, absolutely. Value is what finally defines your pricing strategy. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to add to that what they said, pricing is a very critical problem that I have to solve for any business or entrepreneur. I have seen some of my friends who started the product, they thought they could get customers by offering at low price. You really cannot win a market by offering low price. That is something that I have not seen any company that has succeeded. You could start with a price, but you can offer a discounted price maybe for a year or maybe 18 months. But your model has to sustain for your business down the road. So offering any product at a cheap price will not help you to win the market. The product has to price right. Even the better is put a premium price. If you can basically add a premium value. And a great example is Apple. They do a wonderful job in basically pushing their product more through value than what it really costs for them to manufacture it. So,
just to add, Umesh, I'm happy to tell all of you that I have just got in touch with Mr. Shivayogi Turmuri and Mr. Arun Giryapur sir, and they gave me a tour of VRL logistics during my last visit, and then I found 2 products developed by BVB students having been used in VRL, and I find great market opportunity for them. And you will, thank you. You won't believe the kind of value those 2 robots developed by BVB students are delivering, and the pricing what we can get in US for those 2 products will be phenomenal. I have done some basic market analysis of that in the US, and those 2 products are going to be very successful in US. Thank you.
Thank you. So any other questions in the audience? I know we are running out of time. If there are no further questions, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Prabhakar Kore and Professor Dr. Shatter. And you have a question? Okay, correct.
In North America, most of the people are IT people. I am a mechanical based, I am not an engineer, but I am a mechanical based industry like sugar industry. Now we are diverted in ethanol, and whether any opportunity for Indian to open an industry in America other than IT. Because automobile also, I don't think any automobile industries are flourishing now in US. But what is the other like foundries, forging, mechanical based, other, because lot of American people, they don't want to work in foundries. So whether a good opportunity to establish any industry other than IT.
Sure. Do you want to give it a shot?
Yeah, sir, thank you very much. There is one particular state in United States. I have been fortunate to work closely with the what is that, Commerce Ministry there. It's called South Carolina. In South Carolina, they have specific incentives for Indian factories to set up in South Carolina. And I can help, if anybody wants, I can connect you with those government officials in South Carolina. They will facilitate lands, they will facilitate all the infrastructure, they will facilitate visa, they will do everything to put your factory. One of the earliest company to benefit in this incentive scheme was a chemical factory from India. I think Fosroc Chemicals. Fosroc Chemicals set up their one of the largest manufacturing plant in South Carolina, and it is considered as one of the success story. So, long story short, South Carolina is a possible destination to take that factory to US. Thank you.
Thank you. And under Trump administration, they started America First initiative. So America is also planning to manufacture a lot of goods within the country. So I'm not very aware of what are the policies and schemes they have, and Shashidhar Jakli seems to know. So I think you could reach out to him. But definitely, America wants to bring in a lot of manufacturing back into the United States. If anybody wants to set up, I'm sure there will be an opportunity for them.
Yeah, this particular state, South Carolina, had an Indian governor called Nikki Haley. So she was very industry friendly. 20 years back, South Carolina did not have any industry, but today they have the only BMW factory outside Germany. And they have the only Michelin tire factory outside France. Likewise, they have one of the largest Boeing manufacturing facility. And it is one of the most progressive state and very, very India friendly. I must say this, very, very India friendly. And they will do everything if you want to set up your factory in their state. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. It was a very insightful question. And I know we're running out of time. Would like to thank again Dr. Prabha Kore, Dr. Shatter, and Professor B.L. Desai for encouraging us to make this panel happen. Unfortunately, we had technical difficulties. We couldn't get those two panelists to interact with us in real time, and both of them really bring a lot of value as far as the startups are concerned, because Srisha Ramdas himself has built 2 companies and he's working on 3rd company. He's very, very well networked with VCs in the United States, and it would have been really nice for us to hear from him. But anyway, we can always do it better next time. But again, I would like to thank all of you for being here and listening to our presentation, and we're really very happy to be part of this event. Thank you.
Sir, excuse. Sir, here. Sir, just one question. Any takeaways for the social entrepreneurs? Sorry.
Sunil Desai is going to answer.
I think as far as you are an entrepreneur, and again come back to the basics of what problem you're solving, right? There are a lot, because these days CSR and ESR are big initiatives, and there are a lot of large organizations who are willing to invest, and not just to have a tick in the box, but they also are interested in fixing social issues, right? So would you get funding, if that's your question? Yeah, so again, as far as, again he said, as far as you're delivering value, as far as you're fixing a problem which is compelling, which solves whatever social cause you have, right? I think the base principles remain the same. There is absolutely no change in terms of the value you bring, the cause you have, problem you are solving. From a funding standpoint, it may differ, and maybe you can add, but from a funding standpoint, but there are now with the whole cause around ESR and CSR, there are a lot of foundations, including Sudha Murthy ma'am, who's just won, national recognition. There are a lot of people who are willing to solve these kind of social causes. So I'm as far as the base principles, the short answer is the base principle remains the same. You're fixing a problem which is and delivering value. I don't think anything changes, even if it's a social cause. Right, and then I have personally invested in a company which is into oil recycling. They recycle oil and stuff. That and they've created a platform or an ecosystem for people, suppliers, or for the supply side and the demand side. And they are making, they are doing really well. And though it's a social cause where you are recycling oil and stuff, but they are getting the same kind of funding and the same kind of valuation which big companies are getting.
Excellent, sir. Sir, I have one more question. Here. This side. Sir, thank you very much for your, interactions with us. I am also alumni. Okay, I am 94 batch. I am the first person to come out as an automobile last batch. In fact, okay, it was an taken couple of from North Karnataka as an employer. So I given the employment to them, and some like this assistance I'm keep on doing it. So currently, like we said that okay, we are in the Middle East, basically Saudi Arabia and Kingdom of Bahrain. Okay. And now I want to extend to, like America as having a small branch, because I don't need the financial requirements or the legal requirements to set up a business in USA. Okay, how can you assist us? That is one question, because we are purely from consulting services, IOS certifications, audits and trainings. Whether that kind of scope is available in USA, that is one thing. Second thing, on this mechanical sector especially, when it comes to mechanical, automobile, all those sectors, how our candidates or the, any entrepreneur, how they can get opportunities for them in USA. I have two questions for you. If you can answer, that's great. Thank you.
Okay. So what is the main product?
Certification audit.
ISO certificate. Okay. To answer your question, I charge $250 per hour. So I think your question is how do you set up a US branch, right? So how you went to Middle East, how you set up Middle East business. So you consider US as just another location, that's all. Nothing very, very complicated. So all that you need is a good attorney in US. Believe me, all the budding entrepreneurs who want to do business in US, please learn this very early. You need a good attorney in US, a corporate attorney, not a litigation attorney, a corporate attorney. That will solve a lot of your problem and smoothen the process. Thank you.
I know several of you. I know some of you still have questions. We are available offline. You can always interact with us, or you could send us email or connect with us on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for moderating the session. And thank you, panel members. It was wonderful to hear from such amazing personalities. Let us hear a round of applause to all the panelists. I now request Shri Shivyogi Turmuri, Director, CTI, KLE Technological University, and former General Manager, ARM India, to present the talk on inviting the alumni to set up the companies on campus and facilitate startups. Let us welcome sir with a round of applause.
Good morning. I can still say it's good morning. Respected dignitaries, Kore sir, Munwale sir, our VC Ashok Shettar sir, Desai sir, and all the students and alumni of this great event. It is a great opportunity and privilege to stand before you and talk and introduce what we are doing in KLE Technological University, from entrepreneurship, innovation, product development. It was a great idea, initialization by Dr. Shettar almost a decade back, when he started visualizing what is needed for the growth of the university. Now as we see forward, there will be a lot of research-led developments happening here, and the base for that we started much earlier, almost a decade back, when he took on to start the entrepreneurship journey for many of the startups, many of the students and faculty members here. The successful startups we have already had are Sankalp Semiconductors, Navya Biotech, Snaptood, and Labinap, which were almost 100 crores each one of them, and it brought a big name to KLE Tech University also. And it was pleasing to know when somebody in the panel asked, how many of you want to start your journey from here, from an entrepreneurship angle? And we are here to really take you to the next stage, and we seek your support as alumni here. Next slide, please. So back in almost back in 2014 or 15, we started a society, Center for Innovation, CTI, Center for Technology Innovation and Entrepreneurship, which is a society which is completely funded by KLE, and which today has about 60 to 65 startups in the campus. And we have few virtual startups also. And we also started a CIPD, which is Center for Innovation and Product Development, where you could get a lot of support from a mechanical, automotive side and automation side, and we do take a lot of turnkey products also, and this has been an immense support to our own startups, where a lot of immediate requirements of their work on the POC is actually done.
So who are we and why am I here? From a CITI and CIBD front, we are a TBI. We are a Technology Business Incubation Center, TBI, which is supporting the students, the faculty, and the lateral entrepreneurs to start their journey of entrepreneurship here. We do fund from the government initiated funds, and this has really helped many of our startups to come up with POCs and even scale up now. We have very good support system inside, like Makerspace, Tinkering Lab, RF Lab, Seed Lab, and we have many center of excellences here which could support from a mentorship angle and many of this development angle. We do have MSME support here where a lot of patents we do work on, and many of the faculties, many of the entrepreneurs, we support them to get the patents registered. So as you may have heard Jakali, Shashidhar Jakali, who told about one of the products which we are trying to market in the US. We are trying to see some of these IPs also which have taken shape in our university to be able to commercialize and productized in the short time, in the near future. So we are working with we are working with many of our alumni, past alumni, as well as many of our friends to take this to commercialization. So next slide, please. So this is call for alumni. We are looking at 3 M's here: mentoring, market, business environment, and money, that is funding. So in mentoring, we could need your technical support to support some of these startups, some of the students, some of the faculty members, where they want to start on their journey into the startup arena. We need domain level expertise, we need system level expertise, we need product life cycle expertise. We also need, if it is a possibility, of a technical collaboration from international and domestic companies. This leads to IP creation, and this leads to the next generation and licensing capabilities, commercialization of the products. From a market-driven thing, a business connect thing, a lot of alumni are well connected and are also in the senior positions in many of the companies, and that could lead a way to showcase the products outside our ecosystem here. This could be industry connections, this could be collaborations, Indian and multinational, this could be product and roadmap support, because you see much more, I mean, when you connect dots to many of these products, what we are doing you could see a bigger business opportunity. And that is what we want to drive from the alumni. And last, money, finance, funding. You may be in a very good position, you may see some other avenues for investments, and that could also offer a great opportunity in looking at these startups and finding your own way into this and talking to us whether there is an opportunity here. When people move from POC to production to the new generation and introduction into the market, there is a lot of requirement they may need. And in this journey, there is a lot of funding required. Yes, we do from government-led funding, but it may not be sufficient to take it to the mass market. So we request you to be part of this, and I actually want to see whether this is initiation of your own startup in CITI. If many of your people want to start, alumni want to start any startup, please be aware that we are interested to see your idea to take shape and move into a product and commercialize it. So why we want you to do this journey? Next slide, please. sorry, the next slide. There's a lot of developments. Next slide, please. There's a lot of developments that's happening currently as government is pushing startups in a big way. There are almost a lakh of startups in India, and that is the story which we hear now and then because there's a lot of funds available. There are a lot of people who are funding it also. And many of the colleges, many of the institutes where the alumni are going back and seeing that the funding is done, taken care, and we also seek that kind of a funding requirement coming from our alumni. This will lead to new products, new IPs, and new requirements created, which will be supported by these startups. So this government push from Karnataka government, there is a beyond Bangalore push, and we want to really see how we can address this as an institute, also as CITI. We are trying to see whether we could get a positioning of nodal center for North Karnataka, in which we want to really take the leadership of North Karnataka startups and support them through KLE Institute here for their lab requirements, for their technical requirements, for their mentoring requirements, and showcase a bigger pool of interns and mentorship from here. And I see this happening because some of the colleges from, say, Kolhapur or Belgaum are talking to us to see how we could actually support them. And in this, KDM, the government organization, is also supporting us to see how we could actually make some of the COEs here in, establish some COEs in BVB Institute, so which could support many of these startups as a nodal center. And we are taking, as the presentation and panelists have already been showcased, we are really working hard on the new R&D, Star Labs, etc., and Industry 4.0, setting up best-in-class labs. It was really pleasing to hear Mr. Lokesh Paik, and I'm sure this will also be great support for many of the new startups coming into that group, because when India grows to a $1 trillion economy, I think startups really could make a big benefit from this. So we as a CITI here, we have got about 25 startups here displaying their products, services. I request you to take some time, look at the startups, look at the products, look at the services, what they are offering, and feel free to ask any questions. And this will motivate them as well, give you an opportunity how you could really be part of this journey for them and for yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I request Shri Ashok Toranavar, President, Alumni Association, to brief about the activities of Alumni Association. Please welcome sir with a round of applause.
Good morning, all BVBians, alumni, faculty, students, ladies and gentlemen. It's immense pleasure for me to present the activities that we are conducting through Alumni Association. what exactly is alumni is doing is, one is growth of membership. Fundamental is the alumni for any institution and alma mater. We have an activity information available through website portal. Next, please. We are connecting various chapters through WhatsApp group. Highlight of alma mater is achievements are available on the portal. Many alumni meets are happening in the campus, which I will elaborate little later. There are a lot of alumni tech talks which takes place in this campus through Alumni Association Connect. There are a lot of mentoring also happening. Like today you had some talks. So there are a lot of mentoring which takes place in this campus. We are running a program called Nurture Merit, helping meritorious students with economically weak. We are also started a service called transcriptions, which I'll elaborate a little later. We are also trying to help students of this college to get placed through the alma mater. We are also getting connected for internship. Next slide. What is required for the association is a stronger connect between alumni and the association, which is very, very important. The foundation of association is alumnus, and we need to have a stronger connect between institution and the alumni association. All these are interdependent. One thing I would like to stress upon here is what is that as alumni is doing? What is the contribution you are giving back? Giving back to the institution is very, very important. Alumni association doesn't have its own income. It's not an enterprise. So it has to be run by the contribution by alumni. So there are a lot of philanthropists who are actually funded our alumni association to run. Next slide. We have more than 15,000 alumni members to this institution. Next slide, please. Oh, so this is one of the contribution which has been announced yesterday by Pradeep Vajram, who has announced 1 crore rupees in the name of his late father, Chandrasekhar Vajram. I really thank him wholeheartedly for his contribution. Next. Murugesh Nirani has also announced yesterday 5 lakh rupees for the Alumni Association. I thank him once again. He is a man who has already contributed 11 lakh rupees for construction of Tech Park. Next slide. I also thank Ram Kerur, who has announced 1 lakh rupees on his mother Prabha Kerur, in memory of his mother Prabha Kerur. Next slide. We have about, as I said, undergraduate level, we have about 15,000 alumni members registered with us. Next slide. Next slide. So we have about 500 postgraduate alumni connected with this alumni association. Next. Please connect Alumni Association through this website, that is bvbkletechalumni.org. You can log in using Facebook, you can log in using Google, then you can log in using LinkedIn. You can update your profile so that we are aware what activity you are doing, and you can also connect to many of your friends through this website, where they are, what activity they are doing, all that is available, and you can use it freely, and this is the best way to connect. Next. The website looks like this. This is just one of the page which I am just depicting here. This is how it looks once you log into this. Next slide. We have multiple chapters, 2 in India which are very, very active, and 6 chapters abroad. One is, Bangalore chapter, which is very active and doing a lot of work. And if you look yesterday and today's program are organized by the Bangalore chapter, who are actively involved. One more chapter which is very, very active is in Pune. The Pune chapter is also doing wonderful job, and they have got a very good connect amongst the alumnus. Then there are 6 other chapters which are in abroad. There are 2 in USA, 1 in UK, 1 in Singapore, another in Singapore, Germany, and 1 in Australia. So these connects are happening on a regular basis, and they are connected through WhatsApp group. Any message that is flashed, they all get communicated. Next slide. Alumni Association, along with BV College of Engineering and Technology and Vidya Poshak, an NGO at Dharwad, provides financial assistance to the meritorious students who are economically weak. This we have been doing regularly more than 10 years now. And Alumni Association is also helping by way of providing around 20,000 rupees toward their hostel fees and the boarding expenses. Now we have increased this from 20,000 to 30,000 from this year onwards. We are also planning to provide complete fees for deserving student if needed from this year onwards. So far we have collected about 65 lakhs rupees of money for the Nurture Merit program. The Nurture Merit program runs on the interest of the money that is collected. We are not spending the money that we have collected so far. We are only using the interest component, that is seed money, and on the interest component we are actually distributing the deserving students. Next slide. So far, next slide please. Year on year, we have provided so many beneficiaries, so almost about 65 lakh has been spent for the benefit of the students. Next slide. I am happy to announce about 75% beneficiaries are placed in jobs, and with a package of about 4 lakhs to 25 lakhs. It actually makes their family life completely changed, their economic condition completely changed, who are actually, generally they come from very poor background, sometimes missionary, sometimes they have lost their father, some people lost their mother, some are the farmers, very poor conditions, for whom this makes a lot difference. A good placement makes a change, economic change in their life. Next. Next slide, please. See, one of our AGM, Dr. Ashok Shettar suggested, why not have your own alumni office and also tech park. So that's where he seeded an idea. we went ahead and got a contribution of about 95 lakhs we collected as a separate money for the building, and our own alumnus Sri Bommai, Basaraj Bommai and Murugesh Nirani inaugurated this building. Next slide. I request all of you to visit this tech park and have a look at the facility that is available. And we have almost contributed 95 lakhs, as I said. Next slide. Within the same premise, we have our own office now. We did not have our own office. Veermant Swami's office was the office. Wherever he is there, that was an office by itself. Now we have an independent office in the same tech park, and anybody can visit that particular place. Thank you. Next. The transcript services have been started now, and many are already benefited by transcription services offered by Alumni Association. Already 200 have been benefited in 2021 alone, and more than 900 in 2022. Next slide. There are a lot of, next slide. There are frequent meetings which are happening. I am only referring to now 22 and 23. A Golden Jubilee meet was organized last year of 1971 batch. Next slide. And another 1972 batch, which was Sudhamurthy's batch. So met again on the very next day, and that is a 1972 batch. Next. Okay, before I say thank you, there are few more connect which has happened, then update which I am going to read you now. We had a 1971, as it is mentioned, Golden Jubilee meet, 1972 Golden Jubilee meet, 1996 Silver Jubilee meet, 1997 Silver Jubilee meet, 1998 Silver Jubilee meet. These many meets are already taken place in this campus, and whenever they are meeting, they are also extending some contribution. The last meet which happened in Golden Jubilee meet, we have collected 20 lakhs rupees from the alumnus of that meeting. My batch, I would like to even tell my batch, because we met after 30 years. We contributed 15 lakhs from my batch to this Alumni Association. So that is 1979, I passed out in 1979, we met in 2009, so we contributed 15 lakhs rupees to this institution. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, sir. I kindly request everyone to please be seated. I kindly request everyone to please be seated. Everyone will tell you the risk, but an entrepreneur will tell you the reward behind it, because an entrepreneur is the one who makes the difference in the society. Now, I would like to call our next speaker for the day, Shri Umesh Vaidyamath, on the dais. Please welcome the speaker with a round of applause.
I think it's not afternoon yet. So again, I'm very happy to share my story of entrepreneurship. Is it better now? How about now? Is good? Okay, thank you. Entrepreneurship is very close to my heart. Right from my college days, I always had that desire or dream to build a product or a company. So this is something that I'm going to share my story of a building company. And a more important and interesting thing is journey of my entrepreneurship is very closely connected with BVB. So as I tell my story, you'll be able to see how intertwined are BVB and as well as success of my company, Ionism, and my entrepreneurship. I'm sure you all of you know who Steve Jobs is. He's one of the greatest entrepreneurs of our time. I look up to him as my role model. And I have learned a lot by studying his life and as well as watching him build Apple in 90s and 2000s till he passed away in 2011. So I'm going to be using a lot of his snippets. Those are the snippets that really actually encouraged me to further my entrepreneurship, and I really owe a lot to his thinking process as well as how he built Apple. So one of the statements that really made me to look up to him was his statement was make a dent in the universe. I think that's what the entrepreneurs do. They don't want to take anything that is just keep doing something that is repetitive. They would like to do something different. What does a think different mean? Steve Jobs started a campaign in 2000 about promoting their product in, I believe in early 2000s when they were launching their new Macs. So this actually caught my attention. That actually inspires me even today, and why I should be an entrepreneur or why anyone should be an entrepreneur.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs into square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things and push the human race forward. While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
So today I'm going to just try to share the inspiration that I received from Apple and Steve Jobs, as well as my journey being an entrepreneur. I'm not going to really go back and talk about some slides about market size or growth. I'm going to tell a story as a person and how I built this company and what it takes to be an entrepreneur. It is a very personal story and a personal journey, unlike other presentation that you must have heard of. So, we were the first BVB batch from 1985 to 1989, and we started like everybody else in the final year. We had to do a final year project. That's when I made my first attempt. That was I looked at, instead of just building another system like a library management system or a hospital management system or some dummy project, I really wanted to solve a real problem in the industry. So I started looking for a problem to solve in the industry. So we met a manager for a Gursideshwar bank. I'm not sure that's still there. It was a cooperative bank in Hubli. So we met the manager and we decided to build a share accounting software for them. Next slide, please. So this is how my first entrepreneurship started. It was my final year project, and we worked with the team, made the project happen. Then afterwards, we tried to sell this. And we couldn't sell because Hubli as a place, as well as the leadership in the bank, they were not very clear on what the software is, how it is going to help them. And 1 second, even I was not also clear on how to sell it and how to convince them. So, in the same time, I went to US in 1990, not as a student. I got a job working for a company. Then, from that point onwards, I worked for a company called Marvin's. That was my first job. When I was working in 1992, my desire to be an entrepreneur didn't go away. So I said, okay, I'm going to build another product. So I saw a problem around me, and I went back, and since I could write code, went back and built the software again. And the product was ready to go. Then the question is, how do you sell it? So that is a big question. So I had the product sitting on the shelf and talking to some people how to do it. Most important thing is, sometimes we meet certain people, they open your eyes what to do. So far I had 2 products which I couldn't sell, which are already built. So I met CEO of MicroStrategy. They are also startup at that time. They were just 2 people, they were founders, and Mervin's was their second customer. So they had a revenue of around $1 million that time, and I started working with them very closely because I was part of the team who were supposed to implement the project. They being the CEO, he was working with me shoulder to shoulder. And while I was working with him, I asked him, how did he build his company? What did he do? One thing that I learned from him was, unlike me, he did not build the product first. He found customers first, then he built the product. Then I realized what mistake I was been doing. So I said, okay, this is what, and I learned, and I need to take on, maybe I should apply his strategy for if I have to either sell what I have today or basically build the next one. In 1995 to 1999, US went to dot-com boom. A lot of companies were basically getting funded, companies were getting massive valuation. So that's time, any software in the US would always want to build his own company or product. And for me, though I had a job, even my wife was working, we were comfortable. But still, I didn't feel settled in my career because I always wanted to build a product for the industry. So when you say don't settle for less, it is not about the money, it is about a desire to build something or disrupt a particular industry or do what your heart desires. So in 1999, I met an immigration attorney in San Francisco. Just a casual conversation. And when I was speaking to him, he said he wanted a website. Remember, in 99, website was very unheard of. Tech, internet was just coming up. So when I asked him why he wants a website, he said he wanted to acquire more customers. That's what basically triggered me. When I asked him, how does he like to get customers, or website, then what else? Then that's when I started looking at his office and how they're operating. And I realized that I could basically build a software for their automate their law office. It is something that came up to the conversation and looking at his office. So that's when I and Zoom, the immigration case my software company, come to conceptualization. And we were the first software SaaS product to be conceptualized in 99 because even the SaaS was very new. The concept of having a software as a service was very, very new in the industry. So this is the company we conceptualized in 99 and 2000. So the next thing is when you want to build something, you need 2 things. One is you need money. Then second is you need team. So how do I get started? So I bootstrapped the company, means put my own funds without asking for anybody else, then looked at the family. So one of the best things for me is I have a family which is blessed with a lot of software engineers. So my elder brother Raj Vaidyamat, he is also a BVB, graduated in 88. He was with me in the United States. Then my another brother, he was also in the US. He was a graduate in 92 from computer science. Then my wife, graduated from BVB in 1989. So we all worked together in building our first application. So this is how the company got started in the family with the BVBians. That's the reason I and Zoom has a lot of connection with the BV. So initial challenges like any other product company. One was, watching Steve Jobs, one of the things that he had told was, if you want to succeed, you have to pick on the biggest competitor in the market on those days. It is like, let's say you want to build a search engine today. So you need to take on Google as your competition and focus on crushing them. So that days, when we started, there was already a product called Immigrant Pro. They had close to 85% of the market. So we set up to the goal that we are going to crush this company and we are going to be the number one. So that was our first goal. The next one was, can you go back to the previous slide? We had to worry about the new competitors in the market. There were total 15 companies that came up into the market. And interestingly, you have to keep in mind, 2 companies were funded and founded by ex-Stanford graduates and as well as Harvard graduates. That was a little bit nerve-wracking for us because we are not from those colleges. So next question that comes up is price. How do you price the product? The existing product was $400 per user per year. So we really wanted to sell our product based on Apple's theme, sell at a premium price. So we priced our product almost 2 times of our competition at $800 per user per year. So it wasn't easy to convince, but we pushed the value that we brought to the table. We were able to convince our customers. It was not an easy journey. I cannot basically talk about it. I can speak probably a whole day and what all we had to do to convince the customer, what stories you had to tell, what strategy you had to adopt. It was just a learning every day to basically to stay at the premium price, to push a product against the existing competition that is the market leader still asking for a premium price. So what we did, in 2000 we went to a conference in Boston, and myself and my brother Raj were in the conference table with a table like this with the 2 screens, and we were showing our product. The conference was 3 days. The day 1, we had few people come in. Second day, we had people lined up for our product. That's when we realized that our product is going to take off. So the only way you find out your product is going to take off or not, it is basically watching your customers' interest in what you do. So though that day itself, their customers wanted to sign up, we didn't even have a sign-up sheet for the customers. So that was very encouraging for us on that day to basically see that our product that got built is going to take off. Next, as we started seeing it's going to grow, we needed an engineering team. We cannot do this anymore in the family. So we looked up to India. So in 2001, we started in office in and we recruited again several folks from BVB Engineering College, and that's how it started. Then my younger brother, who's not a BVBian, he helped us to set up the office in Dharwad when we got started. In 2002, we got Honda of America as our first corporate customer. And that was, all this time we were selling it to law firms. This was the first corporate customer that came on our door and looking for the product. So at this stage, we had 250 customers and 20 employees. And still we're not profitable. But by the time we crossed 2002, we were able to do it. So in 2003 was a major turning point. We signed up almost 54 law firms in 3 days because the product had gained so much recognition in the industry and we had a very lot of satisfied customers. They were talking about us. Our marketing strategy was a happy customer. That's how we went about. We did not invest a lot of money in marketing, but we made sure every customer who signed up, they were happy with us and they would use our product. So in 2004, we moved to Bangalore because we wanted to build a customer support team and wanted to build a sales team from India. So that we could not get in Dharwad. So that's what made us to move from Dharwad to Bangalore. And at the same time, Microsoft comes to knocking on our door. In many times, companies have salespeople knocking on the door to get customers. In Zoom, I would say it's our luck, or maybe our awesome product and a customer service that helped us. And the companies were basically knocking on our door. That's how it started. And we signed up Motorola as well in 2004, and that opened the door for several other Fortune 500 companies. So, interesting thing. So every time I used to come to India, I always would visit BVB, and I meet Professor B.L. Desai, Professor Korber, and to just discuss about what I was doing. And it's just an emotional visit for me coming to the college. And in 2004 January, I met Professor B.L. Desai, and I was speaking to him what we're doing, what our product does, how it helps the HR. And he introduced me saying, hey, look, you should speak to our TCS HR manager. And I believe TCS had come to do campus recruitment here, and you should go and meet him. I said, okay. Then I go to Bangalore and I meet him. That literally opened up our door for our Indian corporations. So the very next day, I had a meeting with Infosys, I had a meeting with Wipro, and as well as TCS and several other companies. In 2005, Microsoft went live with our product, and the following year, and we're going 100% every year. And 2006, in 2 years, we were able to get a lot of Indian corporate customers. Wipro, Patni, iFlex, Cognizant, Covansys, and we had just had customers coming one after the other and trying to use our product, and we're implementing it very successfully as well. So when you create success, the next thing is you start getting awards. So I was awarded as outstanding 50 Asian American in the United States. Thank you. And we got recognized by various industries for being one of the best product in legal tech, especially in immigration. And again, as I said, it is just a story of getting more and more customers. Remember, one thing that we always had a goal was to crush our main competition, Immigrant Pro. By year 2008, that guy's market share had almost come down to 30%, and we knew that he's going to be out of business soon. So we looked at a possibility of acquiring that company. Then we said, you know what, why to acquire? Because in another 3 years, we'll be out of business anyway, so we don't need to do anything. So we continued building and growing our company as opposed to acquisition. So today, in 2022, 78% of the H1Bs, I know all of you know what H1Bs are processed through Zoom platform. If our system goes down, I can guarantee you visas will not be going to USCIS. That's how important and our product has become. And we have 1,400 customers for Zoom. Then we have the 80% of the market today for immigration legal tech market. And you have to remember there is a connection to BVB. 50% of the leadership is from a BVB, and 60% of the engineering staff is from BVB as well. So we recruited engineers from BB from 2011 onwards very religiously. Every year would come, would pick 20 to 30 people and bring them into our product, and they did a phenomenal job. Even I forgot to mention, in the first 2 years, for us as a company to survive and grow and succeed, without our Dharwad office, I don't think we would have been able to do it, because our costs were low and we had an amazing engineering team. And our product was built so fast and the quality was so amazing, and it literally itself killed many of the competition that was out there. So today, I was working on my second startup. So it's called a Medicodio Inc. Now I'm venturing into healthcare tech. So we're trying to solve a $20 billion market in medical coding process. There is a quick video I would like to share with you. It kind of explains you what medical coding is. And I'm not going to talk about.
Are you bogged down with the multiple resources you need to refer to get the right code? Why don't you let me help you? I am Codio, the new medical coding digital assistant. Powered with machine...
It's missing the audio, I'm sorry.
Are you bogged down with the multiple resources you need to refer to get the right code? Why don't you let me help you? I am Codio, the new medical... Are you bogged down with the multiple resources you need to refer to get the right code? Why don't you let me help you? I am Codio, the new medical coding digital assistant. Powered with machine learning and artificial intelligence, I can simplify, streamline, and optimize your coding workflows in a snap. I can make your job 45% faster and 85% more accurate. Leave all the repetitive, tedious work like data entry and code search to me. I can log into any EHR system and retrieve patient charts. I can then read the chart and suggest medical codes for your review. I am an expert in CPT, ICD-10, and HCPCS. While you review the code, I'll check CCI edits and LCD requirements using my built-in code search function. As soon as you approve the code, I'll send the code information to the EHR system. I'll make your work easier and faster, leaving you more time to focus on critical areas and new customer development. Thank you for letting me showcase my skills. Sign up today to transform your coding processes with Codio.
So today we have offices again in the US. We done the office in Bangalore. Then we are planning to set up our office in a KLE Tech Park itself. So the plan is 2023. I wanted to do it last year. We couldn't find a lead with a database background who could start the team here. That's the reason we ended up in doing in Bangalore. But still, our goal is to set up one development center in at KLE Tech Park itself. So I'd like to basically share a few of the things that I've learned as an entrepreneur, so that this is the takeaway from me for any of you who are aspiring to be entrepreneurs. So two things that I really look at is you need to have a dream that you want to build something and you need to be passionate about it. Then second one is very important is you need to pick on the biggest competitor in that market. I think that's what basically brings you a kick, that's what I would say, and when you're working on a day-to-day basis and making it successful. So when you talk about big competitor, I would like to basically share, I heard a story about Steve Jobs. When he started, he basically took on IBM as his competition. And when they did, they used to run a lot of advertisement campaigns. One of the campaigns that he ran in 1984, I want to share that with you. It still gives me goosebumps to see how a tiny company like Apple that time could basically take on a company like IBM. So.
Glorious anniversary of the information your history, a garden of pure ideology, ready to work, secure from the pests, ready we are one people, one will, one resolve, one cause. I shall talk ourselves but we shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
I was a big fan of Steve Jobs. I'm still am, and he was the greatest marketing genius. There are several initiatives we did in Ionosome every year. We did something very out of the box, and I'm not going to talk about them, but having a role model like Steve Jobs and watching their life and watching their evolution of their company, I think we can learn a lot and adopt similar tactics in what we do. Another thing is, many times I've seen with entrepreneurs, we don't ask for help. I think that's very important. If it is something that you need to ask. If you don't ask, you will never get a help. So there is another inspirational video from Steve Jobs I would like you to watch.
No, I've actually always found something to be very true, which is most people don't get those experiences because they never ask. I've never found anybody that didn't want to help me if I asked them for help. I always call them up. I called up, this will date me, but I called up Bill Hewlett when I was 12 years old, and he lived in Palo Alto. His number was still in the phone book. And he answered the phone himself. He said, yes? He said, hi, I'm Steve Jobs. I'm 12 years old. I'm a student in high school, and I want to build a frequency counter. And I was wondering if you had any spare parts I could have. And he laughed, and he gave me the spare parts to build this frequency counter, and he gave me a job that summer in Hewlett-Packard, working on the assembly line, putting nuts and bolts together on frequency counters. He got me a job in the place that built them. And I was in heaven. And I've never found anyone who said no or hung up the phone when I called. I just asked. And when people ask me, I try to be as responsive, to pay that debt of gratitude back. Most people never pick up the phone and call. Most people never ask. And that's what separates sometimes the people that do things from the people that just dream about them. You gotta act. And you've got to be willing to fail. You've got to be willing to crash and burn, with people on the phone, with starting a company, with whatever. If you're afraid of failing, you won't get very far.
So, few takeaways. As I was saying, most important thing is, once you pick on something, never give up. Because first 2-3 years will be most difficult. Because I remember in the first 2 years, I would always think, should I want to do this, or should I just go back and do a job again? Right? Those first 2 years, if you are able to weather it, I think you will make it. And again, remember, it is not about just working hard. It is about listening to your customers, finding out what is working, what is not working, and does your product really solve the customer problem? And that's what basically makes a product or an entrepreneur successful. And the most important thing is, you need to have a team that believes in you. That's very important. Then, at least in my personal opinion, you need to pick a role model who are entrepreneurs and get some mentors that basically helps you. And when you're doubting yourself and whether you're going to make it or not, or sometimes they could get you and help you to basically get to the next stage of your growth as well. So it is easy. If I can do it, I'm sure anybody can do it. Any questions?
Hello?
Yes.
Hello, sir. I'm Nikhil from 2010 batch, passed out.
And I wanted to know like, the two parts. Like one, how did you transition yourself from job to the business? Because that's a difficult task to do, because a lot of you have to fund your family, yourself, and the business together. And second part would be, how did you finalize on that idea? Because I know you might be having 10 different ideas that you wanted to work on. And how did you finalize that, and what did you do with the other ideas which you had that initially?
Okay. So you asked me two questions. First question is, how do you transfer from job to being an entrepreneur? To transfer from job from entrepreneur, it's important that you have a financial safety. So in my own life, by 99, I had saved up money so that even if I lost a job, that I could survive with my family for 2 years. So that is the time I gave myself, saying, okay, for 2 years, I can basically, without a job, and I can survive. So you need to basically make sure that you save money so that it is there, and you put a time limit and how long you are going to try. That is number one. And number two, today you get a lot of funding. You don't have to do bootstrap. If you have an idea, if you have got this one, you won't ask for money. You may be able to do that as well, because I did not raise money. Even I'm not raising money today as well, because I like to do myself. So I'm not saying that is the way to do it, but there's many people have done that way. So that's way of doing it. But if you have, I mean, nowadays, there are so many companies getting funded in India. So that's one way of doing it. Second one, the second question you asked is, how do you zero on an idea? That is something you can't, you need to, the way I would basically give an answer is, remember, iron is my third product. First two were, I couldn't sell them, right? The third one, what I did different was, first I spoke to the customers. When I had an idea, this is what I want to do, I spoke to some of the prospects to see whether they like I'm solving the problem, number one. Second question I asked was, if I build it, will you buy it? I didn't want a contract from them. At least I wanted them to agree in principle that it is something that's solved problem. Those two basically helped me, give me confidence that it's going to work. So many people have done differently how to validate your product. This is my journey, this is my story. This is what I did, because after two products I tried, the third one I was doing, I did. Again, this I learned from MicroStrategy's founder. When I asked him, and he told the same thing. When they build the product, before they build the product, they had a customer. Then they build the product. So that's when I said, wow, that is smart, right? That's what I looked at when I was doing next time. I'm going to basically ask someone whether they would be interested in the idea I have. Because trust me, I had probably 100 ideas. Today, if I sit in a room, I'll come up with another 100 ideas. There are no dearth of ideas for anybody. The bottom line is, execution is what matters finally, and product market fit. It is not hard. You got to actively listen to your customer. That's where many times we miss. Hope I answered your question. Okay.
Yeah, Umesh, this is Gangadhar. Just I would like to know, like, what should be the scaling up strategy? We have a startup company. We are into RPA, robotic process automation, and during COVID also we are able to sustain. Like, we are looking for scaling up, like a big bang approach or step-by-step approach. Which one you suggest, and how to go ahead?
I don't think I can answer the question here, because scaling up itself is a big question. I think it can be done very, very differently by different companies. And we have to probably understand more where you are, who your customers are, right? Then probably you should consult some people who are entrepreneurs who have built it, have a one-on-one conversation with them. And if they give an honest answers what they have done, then you'll be able to pick some of them. Like my story has been, like MicroStrategy founder, when I spoke to him, and he was working with me in my next desk, right? So when I spoke to him, tell me what did you do? It took probably three or 4 months of interaction with him. Then I was learning a lot of things from how he thinks, what he does, right? That actually got me idea how to approach my next prospects, how to build my next company. So for Ionism, I already had customers before I built it. Now the next question is scaling up. Scaling up is very unique for every industry, for every product. So I can tell how we did it, but I can basically give my guidelines on how you can do it. but it's going to be you'll have to figure it out because you are on the ground. When you try something, are you getting the result? If not, then you have to tweak. Every day, every month, you have to keep changing your strategy to win. It is as simple as that. So there is no book that tells you, everyone has scaled businesses very differently. So, okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, please.
This is Sanjeev here. Thanks, Vaidyamat, for your inspiring speech. One of the other important factor is about how do entrepreneurs handle failures and setbacks. Okay, I think you naturally would have gone through some of those things.
I didn't hear the question.
You should have gone through some of the, I'm talking about failures and setbacks in an entrepreneur journey. You might have gone through many of those in your things. So how did you persist on with your ideas and thoughts? Can you help us to give some ideas, some use cases?
I think being entrepreneur is basically being committed. You don't give up, that's it. You try to figure it out, how to make it happen. This is why it's very important having a team around you that they believe in you and they believe in the goal that you have set up and the vision of the company. Because every day you will end up with a problem. You will have customers that are not happy, and marketing, your did a campaign, your competition did better than you, and competition is bad mouthing about your product. There are a lot of things would come up. You have to, it is constantly you're solving those problems. That is where you have to basically enjoy that you are able to solve them. As long as you find happiness and fun and enjoyment in solving this problem, you will be an entrepreneur forever. So entrepreneurship is like I built it and I sit back. It is you are solving challenges almost every day. And if you enjoy it, entrepreneurship is for you. It is fun. I can stress that. When you win, and no money can buy that happiness and the feeling you get. It's just amazing.
Hello, sir. My name is Gautam Hegde.
Can't hear you.
Speak. Hello, sir. My name is Gautam Hegde from 2020 batch. So there is a big difference in implementing a solution in US and when compared to India. So basically the mindset of the customer. So could you please go through that?
That is again a long question. I think it would require probably days and days conversation, as I said, right? Every entrepreneur story is different, every company story is different, product story is different. Just because we saw how Apple built it doesn't mean that you can build another Apple. You just can't build how Tesla built their company, or how Infosys did, or Wipro did it, or PhonePe did in India. We will not just copy them. You have to take inspiration from them. You have to see what strategy they used, and you will have to figure it out how I'm going to do that. So there is no book. Again, I have seen many of people that they do MBA. I don't have an MBA, right? So do you need an MBA? You don't. If you ask me, for an entrepreneur, it helps. I'm not saying it does not help, but it is about solving problems every day and figuring it out. Basically surround yourself with good people, great people, entrepreneurship, business leaders, sales people. So you get those ideas how to do it. It is not something that I'll be able to answer that. We can have an offline conversation. I'll be happy to share with you. I'm on LinkedIn. You guys can connect with me. Many people connect with me. I try to do my part. If you remember, there are two entrepreneurs from India, from US today. They're on the panel. They were amazing. And Shrisha is my junior. Me and him, we brainstormed. Though he's 4 years junior to me. We both of us sit once in a while. He talks about how he's doing. I talk about him, what I'm doing, what I should be doing, right? We discuss it. It's just brainstorming ideas, and that gives us what I should do next. So there is no recipe for success. It is something that we'll figure it out. So I know we're running out of time, and I am available offline and online on LinkedIn. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. And again, before I hand over the mic, I would like to thank Dr. Shutter, Professor B.L. Desai, and Professor Grover, who taught us programming, and Professor Handigund, and several other gurus from BVB, without whom I don't think I would have been where I am today. And again, I would like to thank BVB staff. They have been very instrumental in providing the great candidates to my company, and as well as the interns. And every time I come here, they show me a lot of love and respect, and I feel like it is my second home. Thank you for all your support.
Hello, miss, 1 minute. See, Mr. Umesh Vaidyamat is our star alumni entrepreneur. And you have seen he has his family involved actively in that process. And we are fortunate to have his wife, Mrs. Bharati, here. Madam, please give her a big hand. That quotation, behind every man there is a woman. She is the one, right? His brothers, Raj Vaidyamat, who is with him, he is also our alumnus. When, every year his company has been taking 25 to 30 of our students consistently for the last 8 to 10 years. I think right from the second year of his start of taking our students, at that time Infosys was paying 3.5 lakh salary, he started paying 4.5 lakh salary. At that time Infosys had only one structure, whereas he had created 3 structures, 4.5, 7.5 and 11 lakh salary structure, well before the others could do it. And every year he has been coming back and talking to our students about his experience as an entrepreneur. And now he has been in the new company that he has started, he has given projects to our staff and students for implementation. Big thanks, Sumesh, again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for sharing the secrets of your success and your journey of entrepreneurship. The best way to predict the future is to create it by a true entrepreneur. Then who is a true entrepreneur? Is he a dreamer or a doer? To answer to more wonderful questions like these, today we have with us Shri Girish Shiriganavar. Sir is an electrical and electronics engineer from BV Bhumireddy College of Engineering and Technology, 2008 to 2012 batch. Sir is the co-founder of Labin app. During his engineering days, Sir worked on computer graphics and vision projects, which later became the prime technology behind the Labin app. Labin app was started in the BVB CTI and later went on to raise venture capital funding. In the year 2020, Labin app successfully got acquired by Byju's. Currently, Sir is leading the interactive content development as engineering director at Byju's. Let us welcome Shri Girish Shiriganavar and Shri Pramod Ramdurg, co-founder Labin app, software architect in Byju's. I would request Shri Girish Thadmani to give the token of love to our resource persons. Please welcome them with a round of applause. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here and sharing my entrepreneurship journey with Labin app. I think I would like to first of all thank college, Shettar sir, Desai sir for inviting me to share my journey. It's definitely been a wonderful journey, it's a journey which started in BVB, built in BVB, and now being acquired by an tech leader. So very simple story. I'll try to keep it very simple, but it's mainly about the 0 to 1 transformation that we talk about, that I'll go through. So before I can start how it started, there's something that is, led to the beginning, right? This is in the year 2008 to 12, which is our graduation year here. Group of friends started coming together and we started working on different co-curricular projects apart from our curriculum projects, wherein we got a lot of exposure, like in the field of computer graphics, computer vision, robotics, which were not really very big and resourceful technologies that time, but we were fortunate enough to have great minds in the field like Dr. Uma Mudengudi, Arun Giryapur sir, and many more, who gave us an opportunity to work on these projects during the graduation. And that is definitely, when we are when it is outside the classroom, it was the culture of the college that we are not forced to only do the curriculum. So because of these opportunities, we were able to develop the expertise in the field, right? It was also led by our then beloved principal, Dr. Ashok Shettar, now Vice Chancellor of KLE Technological University, who has an open mind and gave opportunities for the students to explore the things. So the resources and the infrastructure in the college, right now it is like even better resources and infrastructure coming up, but even during that time, we had very good opportunities to explore a lot of things. That is when we friends started coming together and working on these projects. Apart from our developing the expertise in the fields, there was a natural understanding which happened between us and which made us to start thinking big. Like we were doing all these projects, right? But then we started looking at real life problems, thinking about how can we go beyond the projects and deliver a value in the real life problems, right? So that's when it was the time of graduation, and we were wondering, like when we were studying in any subject, any concept, right? It was difficult to understand certain things when there is no visual representation, or when we don't have the realistic objects related to that in front of us, right? If I go back to the school days, when we were introduced to the concepts like transistors or the motor, generator, we knew how much we struggled to understand those working principles, just because we were not able to see that in front of us working. We only had to go through the diagrams and the theory that is written to understand that. So when we poked into this problem, when we dwelled into this, we were able to understand that every such concepts can be given a very good visual representation, and we can also deliver interactivity to the models virtually. So this was definitely because we had worked on this different fields of computer graphics, right? So that's when we started. It started looking very interesting for us, and we, in the BVB lawns, which are still there and growing. So we were, always thinking over a period of time, what things are available to, achieve this in the market, in the curriculum, and everywhere else. That really started making us, go in a direction of making it a small business where we can deliver value to the customers, right? So while we were doing this research, we found that in an article, we found that more than 75% of the labs in the schools throughout India didn't have proper laboratories. What does that mean? That means laboratory is a place where you go and explore things in hand. But even that was not possible. Even that was not available for students. So that's when this problem, we could get into this problem, and we could confidently identify a solution, visualize a solution that we can deliver these virtual labs in a virtual format, which can be much more affordable to address, wherein we can make sure that a virtual laboratory setup looks very similar to a physical lab setup, and to be able to do everything that we can do in a lab virtually. So that's where we start, because like we were kind of knowing those technologies, we quickly built the prototypes. So this is one of the demonstrations of that. Here there is a lab setup and an experiment that is being showcased in a virtual setup. So interactivity is also very natural, and we had the ability to interact with by varying different parameters, which are quite difficult even in the lab to do. We are able to push the limits of the experiment. So this was our thought process, digging deep into the problem of laboratories, which had a lot of scope, not just to the laboratories. We could imagine that we can give such solutions to all the learning concepts, right from lower grades to very higher grades. So that is where we spotted the opportunity that the market is big, and we can deliver a value through this product to the customers. So it was the time when we graduated, 2012. The placements here are really good, and all of us had campus offers in our hands. So finally, 4 of us started coming together and decided that we'll be the starting members of this company, and we'll leave the jobs and start working on this. At that time, we had not even tested the market, but we had the belief that we can deliver this value to the customers, and we thought that it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to work on this. If we leave this today, maybe we don't know when we will start it again. Maybe the time is not going to be there for us. So then we convinced our parents to leave the jobs, and we bought some time, like 1 or 2 years, to work on this dedicatedly, and the parents were supportive enough to encourage us to work on this, and that kick started. During the same time, BVB had come up with an incubation center. In 2012, it was one of its kind incubation center across India. Like, it was never heard of, at least in India, but it was fortunate for us to be in the college at the same time, where we found the incubation center, where we got the office place to start working on our product development. So it was not just a place to start working on, but the vision of Dr. Ashok Shettar was that if it is an incubation center for startups, it has to have a lot of things surrounding it. So they started involving serial entrepreneurs like Vivek Pawar, Santosh Ullikoppi, and Manohar Joshi, many others into this ecosystem, where they came together, and they were acting like mentors for us. We used to have monthly, weekly meetings with them, just brainstorming what we are doing, and showcasing them our paths, and they would give us inputs about how to go about it based on their experience, which definitely helped us to cut down the time which we would have definitely wasted, because we were already bootstrapping. So we should go a little bit faster to churn some revenue to be able to sustain, right? So also during that time, like now what Turmari sir has been showcasing, there were college resources available for us to explore. being in the campus, that helped us. Being in the campus gave us an access to the talent in the form of internships. It was a value addition for both the students as well as for the companies like us to use the resources and build the stuff in a very bootstrap manner, right? So in this form, there are many companies started coming together, which made an environment of entrepreneurship culture built up in the campus, which in itself was a big moral booster, I would say. When during that time, startup word is not as fancy as right now, and also it was not well perceived. It's something alien for everyone. Even the word entrepreneurship was not really aware to us. We were just keen on solving a problem. That's how the setup of BVB CTIE, which had initial office setup in the backside of E&C department and then in the old MBA department, and now it has a dedicated building. So we have seen the growth of BVB CTIE along with us. So that was really a helpful thing which happened to us at the right time. So then when we formally started the company here, we had a problem and solution, but the solution was very wide open. We had to think like a company where we had to think about product packaging, which could help us have a better ROI. What I mean by ROI is, it should be a crisp enough package so that we can get into the market and realize some customers, so that we have the revenue to move ahead and also to test the product. So it was a very thoughtful process where we identified that we'll address the class 11, 12th practicals, subjects to deliver them in the form of a 3D virtual labs. And during the product development also, we got a lot of help from the campus. Being in the campus, we got access to students to get some user research and get some valuable feedbacks from the students to polish the product, right? So then at the, in about few months, I would say 3 to 4 months, we had one package in the hand, which was ready to get into the market. So during this time, we started approaching to the schools. So now we are in a different domain of, category of things called sales. It was very alien for us engineers at that time. We were definitely good at building the products, but it was something very new for us to explore. So, but then we had the confidence. We had done our homework. We could go get into reach out to the customers and explain the product. Because the product was, I would say, better than what we had thought. We were pursued well by the initial customers. We got good response from the customers. Even the pricing was very, not really sure of what should be the pricing and all. That also got figured out when we started selling. So it is all learning by first principles, for us. That time, we then understood, okay, every customer, we initially thought like every customer that we pitch in should be our customer, right? Should buy our product at that time. But we understood slowly, like, no, it's not going to happen like that. It's going to go through a funnel from a prospect to a end customer. So there should be a lot of negotiations that happen from the customer's point of view. We had to take care of all those things, right? We had to do the follow-ups. Only when the check is given to us and it doesn't bounce in 3 days, that's when we know that, okay, sale is completed. So we understood all these things very, very frugally, very in the initial years. But in first year, we could sell the product to 30 plus schools in and around Hubli-Dharwad region, which was, I would say, like a fairly good success at that time to realize, which made us, which gave us a confidence to move ahead. So what's next? When we have customers and a product in the market, what's next? We have to move ahead a little bit faster. We have to start thinking getting into different regions, start increasing our sales reach out. So that's when we started going out of our region because we saturated here. We started doing a lot of networking to get the partners for us to sell at very different, like a lot of different models, which we even never thought about. But then the only motive was that we should go start reaching out to a larger audience, and we started attending a lot of networking events. We started getting into like the Thai Hubli, Thai Bangalore, chapters or the Deshpande Development Dialogue, such kind of events, where we got the exposure to the market. We were able to meet fellow entrepreneurs, understand the market, right? So all these things started happening during this time, and interestingly we found very interesting people here. As we were going through, we were following a motivational speaker, maybe all of you know, called Sandeep Maheshwari. He has floated a fund for startups all over India. We applied there, and we got into top 5 startups and got the angel funding from Sandeep Maheshwari in the end of 2014. We started, that was like, we can wonder how we got that funding, but it was very simple. We had customers, we had the product in the market, which was proven. So that is the biggest factor why we got the funding. So going by next steps, as in we started having brainstorming sessions with Sandeep Maheshwari himself every month. We used to go to Delhi. So we got a mentality of brand building. We got a mentality of thinking big from him. So all those things made us more, go even beyond and started reaching out to more investors. In fact, as we were attending these events, this is around 2015. By that time, Flipkart, Amazon, like these companies had a fairly good success as a startup in India, and funds were coming up to invest in India. So that was a good time for us again. And when we were going to pitch different people, we got in touch with Unitas Ventures, where they also we got the venture funding investment from Unitas Ventures in 2015, and we onboarded the EdTech industry leaders, you can say, Shrikant Iyer, Madan Padki, Anand Sudarshan. Shrikant Iyer is former founder of EduRite. So that was a very big turning point in the company's future, I would say, because as we not only got the fund, we also got the mentors of the industry experts. So what do you do when you have a venture fund? You have to scale fast. You have to scale faster than you think. That's the only thing, right? As we went ahead after the venture funding, in the next few years, we are very proud to say that we employed more than 50 plus employees in the lifetime of LabinApp, and very, 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 very proud to say that more than 50% of them are from BVB. So many of them have done internships in, with us, and many of them are still with us working on the same technologies. So that was a very good thing, and with the help of this, we expanded our product horizon from the 11th, 12th lab category to the lower grades, 6th to 10th, where we are addressing the activities, right? So when you are learning a concept, let's say you're learning about friction, let's say you're learning about static electricity. So there are small activities which are encouraged for you to do so that you can understand those concepts. But the same thing, it was not available for students and teachers to get hands-on with those things and learn the things, right? So that's when we just moved into those category and increased our product horizon, and we built more expertise in the field. We increased our horizon of the IP, right? With this broad product base, we are able to reach 5,000. Hello? Yeah. Not audible? Yeah. So we reached to around 5,000 plus schools across India in next 3 years, and it was very wonderful to look back and see that. But we can wonder how can we reach 5,000 schools from 30 plus schools in 1 year, right? So here again, as we evolved as a as a company with the mentorship, with the brainstorming that we with the tweaks in the sales model, we started reaching out to sales partners, started making partnerships with companies through selling. So then we made some big partnerships with biggest tech companies in India, like the Tata Class H, Chand Publications, Class Teacher, L&T, KCST, which is a government body, which was funding schools, right? So through these partners, we were able to reach 5,000 plus schools across India, and that is when the product was also available in different formats. The new age learning was coming up in around 2019, 2020 times, right? So there were new age companies like Vedantu, Byju's, and many others who were trying to deliver content not in school but directly to students through live classes or app-based solutions. So we started collaborating with them also, wherein the product was getting proved every day and day, right? We were doing a lot of pilots in one such interesting thing. As we were doing pilots, the COVID lockdown happened just about in the March 2020. As we had proven the product, we got a very good offer from the industry leader Byju's, so that we can have a long-term partnership with the company to build more such interactive stuff for the bigger reach that they can provide us, right? So that's how we finally landed in Byju's through a very good acquisition. It was a decision which was important for everyone, the stakeholders, employees, right? So that made us now currently we are leading to the interactive technology development, interactive tech content, where we have as a team, the same team is intact almost, wherein we have developed more than 2,000 plus interactives for Byju's, getting used in different products across the Byju's product line. So to say the least, it was a very exciting journey, and I would like to thank everyone who were part of this journey, directly, indirectly, college, even the employees, mentors, right, stakeholders, investors, and the families of all of us. So coming back here and presenting this story, I think it's been a really privilege to be able to share it with my seniors and juniors. So I would like to thank everyone, and if there are any questions, I can take it. Thank you very much. Any questions? Okay. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, sir, for sharing this thoughtful and passionate journey with us. As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. We would never bid a goodbye without appreciating and remembering all the people who made this meet happen. To do the honors, I would call upon Srimati Prabha Girish Yellamali to propose the vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are privileged to have some of the donors from our alumni. Pavan Shinde, Girish, Vinayak, and Pramod Ramdur. They have donated rupees 10 lakhs for the Visual Intelligence Lab at KLE Technological Universities. Let's give them a big round of applause. We have one more donor, on the spot donor, Mr. J. Suresh, who is from Washington, D.C. He has donated 4 lakh rupees to help economically disadvantaged merit students. Let's give him a big round of applause. Thank you, sir. Now it's a time for vote of thanks. It has been an honor to be a part of this wonderful Amrit Mahotsav event and global alumni meet at KLE Technological University, Hubli. I, Prabha Girish Yellamali, on behalf of Alumni Organizing Committee, would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guest, Dr. Prabhakar Kore, Chairman, KLE Society, for his leadership and inspiration. Dr. Ashok Shattar, Vice Chancellor, KLE Technological University, for his drive and passion for the growth of the university. Professor B.L. Desai, sir, Executive Dean, KLE Technological University, for his continuous support. Mr. Ashok Tolannawar, President, BVB Alumni Association. Mr. Ram Kerur, Chairman, BVB Global Alumni Meet. And the speakers, Lokesh Paik, Umesh Vaidyamat, Shrisha Ramdas, Shashidhar Jakli, Sunil Desai, Lingraj Patil, Girish Shirgannavar. I also would like to extend my thanks to D.R. Subramaniam and Shri Shiv Turmari, the organizing committee, Professor Vijayalakshmi ma'am, Professor Sunita ma'am, and their team members. IT team members, Professor Parikshit and Anand, Professor Sangaudar and Professor Viresh Angdi for all the lunch and high tea arrangements, Dr. M.R. Patil for civil infrastructure, Mr. Kolar for media and publicity. To all the professors, staff, student volunteers, all people who have worked for the event behind the scenes to make this event successful. I would like to thank all the BVB alumni who participated in the event and alumni across the globe who have extended their best support. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, ma'am, for showing gratitude, and special thanks for thanking everyone in a wonderful manner. Before we end the program, I would request Alumni Association Organizing Committee, Alumni Association Office Bearers, and VC Sir to join us for the photo session. A department visit has been arranged post-lunch at 2:30 p.m. for alumni to refresh their memories in their own department, where they have attended and learned their ways of life, also to interact with faculties and students. Well, that marks the end of today's meet. I thank each and everyone from the bottom of my heart for being a great audience and joining us on a lovely Sunday morning. I, Nikita Joshi, the host for Global Alumni Meet, sign off. Thank you.
जब सेविंग्स कम हो और सपने बड़े तो चुनो मनीव्यू पर्सनल लो. डाउनलोड द मनीव्यू ऐप.
to come on to the dais, please. We'll have a photo session. Please hurry up. Ram Karur. Wali. Lunch is arranged at Village Library. Please pray with me. Village Library, please.